Now we're going to solve some equations where we have variables on both sides and a lot of times numbers on both sides, so they're getting a little more difficult, but our goal is always the same. We want to get the variable by itself. So if they're on both sides, we need to get the variables on one side and numbers on the other. Lots of different ways to start. I don't really care how you do it, but you probably ought to get yourself in a habit. So to start with, I'm going to get my variables together. A lot of times I like to keep them positive, so I would look, I have both a 2x and a 4x. So I would say, let's take the 2x and get rid of it on that side. So to get rid of this 2x, I need to subtract 2x from each side. And then I just draw my line and do the math. So 4x minus 2x is 2x. I still have my plus 12. And over here I'm left with a 20. So I brought my numbers to the left, so I'm sorry, my variables to the left, so I want my numbers to go to the right, so I'm going to subtract 12. So now it is basically what we have been doing after I got my variables together. Get 2x equal 8, and then the opposite of multiply by 2 would be divide by 2 to get x equal 4. So just do one step at a time as you go through these. So on this problem again, if I want to get my variables together first, again, it doesn't matter, you can subtract 7y or you can subtract 5y. A lot of times I like to keep my variable positives to avoid some negatives if I can. So I'm going to subtract 5y, but I don't care which way you do it, just so you keep track of everything. So we get 8 equals 2y minus 2. So now the opposite of subtract 2 would be add 2, because we're trying to get the variable over here by itself. We get 10 equals 2y. The opposite of multiply by 2 would be divide by 2. And get 5 equal y. So just do one step at a time, variables on one side, numbers on the other. Again, in this problem, we want to get the variables together, so I would like to subtract 8x from each side. So I subtract 8x from each side. I am left here with 2x minus 2. On this side, be careful, it's negative 1 is what is left, so don't lose that negative sign. So now I would need to add 2 to each side. I get 2x equal, negative 1 plus 2 would be 1. I would need to divide by 2, and there's no need in writing this any other way, just leave it as a fraction. If it could be reduced, we would reduce it, but we'll just leave it as x equal 1/2. And that's a fine answer to have. Alright, on this problem, we have to remember how to distribute. So I'm going to take a negative 3 times everything inside the parentheses here, so it's going to leave me negative 3x. A negative 3 times a positive 2 would give me negative 6, which I write as minus 6. Over here I'm going to distribute my 2 and get 2x plus 14. So that step we learned back in Unit 1. Now it's just like what I've been doing. If I would like to get my x's positive, I could add 3x to each side, or I could subtract 2x. It doesn't really matter. Let's say I decide to add 3x to each side. You might decide to do something different. As long as you show your steps, that's fine. Well, these two are gone, but notice I'm left with negative 6 equal 5x plus 14. So now I would need to subtract 14 from each side. Add the opposite. This gives me negative 20 equal 5x. And then if I divide by 5, I'm going to get negative 4 equal x. So if you choose to do it another way, you will get the same answer as long as you follow all the steps and keep all your signs straight. So it doesn't really matter which way you choose to do it, as long as you do one step at a time and show me what you're doing. So in this problem, I do need to distribute first. So 2y plus 5. Distributing, I'm going to get 5y minus 35 minus 3y. Now if you notice on the left, I have some y's that can be simplified. So a lot of times after you distribute, that's going to be a step you want to do called simplifying. We're just going to not worry about one side or either side. We're just looking at the right side and taking 5y minus 3y. That would just give me 2y minus 35. And now I'm going to get my y's together by subtracting 2y from each side. Well, what is 2y minus 2y? It's 0, so that's gone, leaving me 5. And over here they subtract away, leaving me negative 35. This is kind of a special situation. Your variable's just subtracted away and you're left with this statement. So you need to ask yourself, is this statement true or false? Does 5 equal negative 35? No, that's a false statement. And when you get a false statement, that tells you there is no solution. You can write that symbol as long as you know that it means there's no solution. So there's no number that you can replace the variable y with in this problem that will make it true. So that happens when the variable disappears and you get a false statement. So kind of a special situation there. All right, let's look at this one. We're going to distribute. We get 3x plus 3 minus 5 equals 3x minus 2. Again, I can distribute, or I can simplify on this left side. 3 minus 5 would be negative 2, which I write as minus 2, equals 3x minus 2. You might notice something in this step, but I'm going to go one more step. Subtract 3x from each side, and I get negative 2 equal negative 2. So again, my variable disappeared, but this time I get a true sentence. And when you get a true sentence, that means all numbers work for this. Any number you want to choose is going to be a solution to this problem. So two situations when the variable disappears. You kind of need to remember what one's what. Then this is kind of a summary of things we need to do here. If there's anything that needs to be distributed, do that, and then simplify. That step's kind of important. A lot of times some people don't do that. You need to get the variables on one side. It doesn't really matter, but take care of getting them together. Get numbers on the other. You multiply or divide in the last step, so save that for the last step. If you get a false statement, that means no solution. If you get a true statement, that's called the identity. I didn't mention that before, which means all numbers, but I prefer you write down that the all numbers and not just identity, so I know that you know what it means.